about your wife, it's okay now. It's Pittsburgh.
Then the individuals brought there in, and Bill, actually, I did not realize Bill actually had suffered a very, very bad arm injury during this. I didn't have, and he actually broke his arm. He never told me this something. So with a broken arm, he was sitting there trying to write up this report, and my security guy came up.
You need a phone in case something happened.
What should I do with these gypsy jockeys here? And then Bill looked up and said, "Put them in lost and found." So they did. The next day, the chairman came downstairs, unaware of the events. As is the chairman's wont, decided to check out the lost and found, what sort of things have shown up.
I'm good. A water, please. Boy.
Excuse me. Hey, Sergeant, what exactly is in my lost and found? And the duty sergeant looked up from his newspaper and said, "Oh, that's a pair of jiggly jobbies." And the chairman said, "Yes, apparently." "What exactly are they doing in my lost and found?" To which the duty sergeant folded up his newspaper and said, "Let me tell you a story." Those jibbly jobblies remained in Afrikaans lost and found for a month. Because, strangely enough, nobody came looking for them. I'm getting my phone out for a reason. Let it go.
We got furries.
After 30 days, I sent an email to Deputy Isner and I said, "What exactly am I supposed to do with these jibbly jobblies?" And he said, "Well, just send them to the department. We will take them as unclaimed property and we will, associate them with the event, blah, blah, legal, voice, words." So I did, and I enclosed an official letter on Afrikaan letterhead, if I may. "Dear Deputy Kisner, please find enclosed the purse," there was a purse associated as well, it was not claimed, "which we believe to be associated with the events of Wednesday night at Afrikaan. The following items have been removed to comply with U.S. Postal Service regulations." Kindly note that I have included, with the appropriate BSI precautions, a plastic sealed bag containing the items referred to in my aforementioned email as the jibbly jobblies, which I shall hope that you will, words, you get the idea. The funny part is a week later I got an email from that individual who apparently was out on bail, who sent me an email saying, "May I have my purse back?" And I couldn't resist saying, "Do you want the jibbly jobblies too?" To which the individual said, "Sure." I said, "Well, you're going to have to speak to Deputy Kisner. You may remember him, I'm sure you met." Haven't heard back. People think that running a convention is fun. They think it's easy. Look what it does to you. You do realize I'm 29 years old. I cannot describe it any other way. And all of us, by us I mean convention organizers, have our own interesting stories. Some of them we can tell on stage. Some of them we just get together at a bar and we do what we call the chairman fingers. There is a convention in Canada, Toronto specifically, called Vernal Equinox, and I was there this past year. Their director of security said, "Uncle Kage, I have a story for you." I love hearing stories that happen at other people's conventions, because it's other people's conventions, and I don't have to deal with them. The Germans call it Schadenfreude. Look it up. He took me aside and he said, I was doing security duty in front of the dealer's room just a couple of hours ago, and a young lady came up to me and she was very upset, and she said, "There's a creepy guy in the dealer's room." And FE's security guy said, "Well, miss, you're gonna have to narrow that down considerably." This is Canada after all. And she said, "Well, he's wearing a bathrobe." And the security guy said, "Okay, all right, yeah, now you have my attention. So there's a creepy guy wearing a bathrobe. Can you give me a description of him so we can keep an eye out?" And she said, "Have you ever seen the Addams Family?" And the security man said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you know Uncle Fester?" And he said, "Yeah, yeah." And she said, "He looks just like that." And the guy said, "And he's wearing a bathrobe?" And she said, "Yeah." So the security guy said, "Hang on. Is this the man?" She said, "Yes, that's him." And he said, "Don't worry, miss, that's not a bathrobe, that's a lab coat." See, the sucky part about my stories is they're all true. I don't make these things up. I don't have to make these things up. I wish I could. I would love to exaggerate these stories and say, "Oh, but it just doesn't work that way." Boy, half an hour's gone already, considering we started late. Anybody here a fursuiter? Well, I think you are. Possibly that might be one over there. Yeah, possibly. Does anybody use the Easy Cool Down vest? Isn't that amazing? This is a shout out. Easy Wolf is a friend of mine, and he is amazing. He's the man who came up with the Easy Cool Down vest. Also, if you are an old-time furry and you're aware of the little fan film called Bitter Lake. Yep. Anybody who's seen Bitter Lake, Easy Wolf was the actor behind Colonel Raiden Dreer, the gigantic black wolf, who was one of my fursuit crushes. Easy Wolf is Dutch, which means he's about this tall. And the character of Colonel Dreer has these horns which add an extra 2 feet to it. This is a colossal fursuit. By the way, the Dutch are all extremely tall. It's a genetic thing. It's an evolutionary adaptation. If the dike breaks, they'll all be survive. That's what it is. That's a shout out because I'm going to be seeing Easy in about a week, and I look forward to that. Sorry, that's an aside. What was I talking about? Oh, things that con chairs have to deal with. I was thinking of Easy because he's a foreigner. Anthrocon in a couple of years ago, we had a baseball theme. And we had this brilliant idea. We're going to have these custom-made baseball jerseys for our super sponsors. Well, these custom-made jerseys, they were being made in China, which of course means that they are both inexpensive and of exceptional quality. I would have loved to have seen them because I ordered them 2 months before the convention. A week before the convention, I got a phone call from the supplier saying they haven't actually arrived yet. And I said, okay, where actually are they? And she said, well, they currently are in the People's Republic of China. I said, well, that's absolutely lovely. When are they going to be in the People's Republic of Pittsburgh? And she said, we're 80% sure they'll be here by the time your convention starts. And I said, well, miss, please don't think me ungentlemanly, but I strongly suggest that you make that 100% sure, because it would really ruin my day if I had to come down there and talk to you. I have a special relationship with the city of Pittsburgh. They keep me happy, and everybody's happy. See how this works? Anthropon officially begins on Friday. It was Wednesday. I did not have my amazing Chinese custom-made baseball jerseys. And I called the lady and I said, are they going to get here? And she said, well, words, we hope they'll be here tomorrow. I said, yes, you do. Very much so. You very much hope they'll be here tomorrow. That was Thursday. Thursday came along, and the lady called, and I said, where are my baseball jerseys? And she said, they're in Japan. I said, okay, that's a little bit closer. A few hundred miles, we're getting there. When are they going to be here in Pittsburgh? And she said, well, we're hoping they'll be on a flight today. And I said, yes, you are. You cannot begin to imagine how much you're hoping that they're going to be on a flight today. Friday morning, this is the drop dead time. I was waiting for a phone call. The lady did not call, but about 11 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call from FedEx saying, hi, we have an international shipment coming for Anthropon. Yes! She said, we need to know who the importer of record is. I said, that would be me. Put down the old guy with the wine glass. They'll know who it is. She said, we need your federal identification number. So I rattled it off to her. I know that number by heart. I have put it on Anthrocon's tax form since 1999. And she said, thank you. She called back 5 minutes later and said, I'm sorry, that's the wrong number. I said, okay, miss, I may be old and I may be a drunk, but I remember this number. That is our federal ID number. She said, could you give it to me again? And I said, yes. Yeah, blah, 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 numbers. And she said, that's coming up invalid. I said, well, oh, okay, let's take a step back here. That is my federal tax ID number, and I am giving it to you. That should be the end of the story. And she said, but it's coming up invalid. I said, what do I do? She said, you're going to have to call the IRS. Now, fortunately, it's a very, very painless operation. As anybody has ever done that knows. You simply dial a number, and within 10 seconds, you are connected with a person who can help you lickety-split, right? Excuse me. I was on hold for 45 minutes. At Anthropon, there are signals to watch for in me. If I am walking very slowly, and looking very happy, you can stop and talk to me. If I'm walking very, very quickly like this with my head down, looking very purposeful, that's not the best time to talk to me. I didn't realize I did this. If I'm on the phone and walking in a tight circle like this, you'll die if you come within eyesight of me. No, you don't have to say anything. I'll just kill you. Okay? Just do not let me see you. Because apparently I spent 45 minutes doing this. Whoa. Hang on. Hand that to me. It works when I'm mad, not when I'm drunk. Excuse me. Wow. Boy. I'm going to hold on to this. Okay, anyway. Finally, the IRS lady answered. I said, help me, IRS lady. I have a tax ID number, and they say it's not my tax ID number, and I want to have a tax ID number, and I'm very sad. What do I do? And she said, what is the number? And I gave her the number. She said, what's the business? And I said, Paws Con Incorporated. She said, well, that's your tax ID number. Thank you very much. Bye. I said, no, wait. I need something to give to FedEx to tell them that's my tax ID number. She said, well, no problem. What's your fax number? I said, fax? Excuse me, ma'am, this is the year 2016. The 90s are gone. We don't do those anymore. Can you email it to me? And she said, no, we can only fax it to you. So I ran down to the convention center's front office, and I was on the phone to the lady with this here, and I ran to the secretary lady, and I said, what's the fax number here? And she said, fax? This is the year 2016. I said, but I need, oh, wait. There was a business card there, and there was a fax number. So good. Oh, IRS lady, hello. The fax number here it's 412 blah, blah, blah. I read the fax number. Great, fax it to me, thank you. I said to the lady, where's the fax machine? And she said, well, that's what I was trying to tell you. I don't know if we have one. I said, but there's a fax number on the business card. You have to have one. And she said, we haven't gotten a fax since I started working here. And I said, well, what do we... But then I heard it. You have to be old to know the sound. You... I said, that's a fax! And we went looking through the offices. Wait, hang on. It's coming from this direction. We went into this disused cubicle that had boxes in it. And I pushed aside the boxes. There was a dusty old fax machine with spider webs on it. And the lights had come up and it's saying receiving. And the fax came up. Dear whoever you are, this is Paws Con's tax ID number. Leave the old guy alone. He's very upset. Love the IRS. So I took that and I scanned it and I sent it to the nice lady at FedEx. Please, I need these things this afternoon. Please. And 3 minutes later, the lady from the FedEx office called me and she said, I have your fax. Yes, that appears to be your tax ID number. We will release the international shipment to you. Your Ez cool-down vests are on their way. I said, wait, come again? She said, your Ez cool-down vests. I said, by chance, miss, is that easy cool-down vests? She said, yes. I said, it's not baseball jerseys? She said, weren't you waiting for easy cool-down vests? And I said, yes, I was, in fact. Thank you very much. And I went to the dealer's room. And there I saw Easy Wolf who was doing the chairman fingers. And I said, "Oh, hi, Easy. How's it going?" And he said with his lovely Dutch accent, "Oh, it's not going so bad. I have not gotten my cool-down vest." That's a very bad Dutch accent. I said, "It's okay. I have cleared them through customs for you. You owe me 6 cases of wine and a blowjob." I would like to state for the record that I have not yet gotten my wine. There's a bunch of other things on here that I was going to talk about, but I don't want to. Because I want to resurrect an old story. Gentlemen, keep an eye to the time. You know I don't like to go over time, so...
Neither one of us have a watcher working on. We have 12 in every. 9:43. Listen to them. They're smart. Hold on. How do we
As Georgie Jessel used to say many, many years ago, I used to work with the American Red Cross in Philadelphia. I was with Disaster Services. That was before I discovered that they're an organized crime outfit, but that's another story for another day. Oh, trust me. I used to be the guy who gave out money to disaster victims. I know where the money goes. But as I said, that's another story for another day.
Can we buy drinks for it?
Yes. What we used to do was we had what we called the city team. Every Friday night, I would put on my white helmet and my nice reflective vest, and a bunch of folks and me would basically get into a Red Cross vehicle, and we would drive around the city of Philadelphia. It's Philadelphia. A disaster wouldn't happen. Trust me, that's the city. Fires, building collapses, floods, murders, you name it. This particular evening, now this was the 1990s. We didn't have GPSs. We didn't have all the fine things you guys have today. If we wanted to find something, we had to get what we called a map. And a map was this big piece of paper with lines on it that the knowledgeable knew how to read. We had a scanner that was picking up the Philadelphia Fire Department. Fire call, structure fire. Residences. That's our bailiwick. And it was close to where we were. And I'm pulling open this jug. We call it a road atlas, this big thing with maps, and I'm fishing through, trying to find it. And the head of my team, a guy named Mark Hopkins, brilliant guy, fantastic. He actually now is in charge of the Philadelphia Urban Search and Rescue. And he's saying, "Where is this thing?" And I'm going through the map saying, "Give me a moment. I have to, it's page 345. And Mark said, "Oh, for God's sake, take the wheel." And he climbed out the window. I'm like, "No, Jesus!" I'm in the passenger seat of this van holding the wheel. Mark is leaned out the window of this van going, turn left, coming up here. Okay. Wait. Turn right. No, guy, turn right. Okay. Left now. Okay, left. We made the left, and we came across this fully involved structure fire. The fire department wasn't there yet. We beat them. He was good. Art's amazing. So we pulled up. I don't know if it's called the same everywhere in the country. In Philadelphia, we call them row homes. It's basically homes that are all attached, and they go for long rows along the entire block. The last house along the way was just completely, it was foobarred. The second house was belching smoke. The third house, I was worried about that. We started asking neighbors. Okay, that house that's involved, nobody lives there. It's vacant. The second house, that's vacant too. The third house, there's an old lady in a wheelchair. Oh, you give Red Cross guys old ladies in wheelchairs, we just get a hard on. That's amazing. But that's fine. So at this point, there's really nothing for us to do, because that third house is fine. This is an empty house that's burning, so we just kind of stood back with the neighbors just to watch. We were watching for a short time when the second house, the one that was just belching smoke, exploded. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what we call a flashover or a backdraft. Two amazing phenomenon with fire. It basically amounts to boom. That second house detonated in an amazing fireball. Firemen were jumping off of their ladders to get away from it. And I noticed that that third house, there was now smoke coming out of the windows at the upper level. And I said to Mark, I said, hey, they tell me there's an old lady in that house. We got to go take care of her. So we ran to the house, and we opened the door, and it was already very hazy in there. By the way, a little public service announcement for all of you. If you think you can survive a fire in your house, take it from an expert, you cannot. This house was not involved. It just had a little bit of smoke in it, but that little bit of smoke was blinding. It was debilitating. You could not survive in it. Keep that in mind, okay? Stay low. We went in, and we're calling, and I heard a voice, and I went toward it. There was this old lady who apparently, how do I put this delicately? She carried a lot of weight in the neighborhood. Let's just leave it at that, okay? And she was in a wheelchair, and she was crying, and I came up and said, ma'am, we're going to get you out. It's okay, you know. And so Mark and I started taking her to the front door. Now, the thing is, there's 6 concrete steps leading down. And this lady weighs about 4,000 pounds. Now, this is the amazing thing about disasters. You always hear people say, people come together. It's true, they do. There was a group of fellas, Hispanic young men, that on any other given day, I would have looked at them and I would have been terrified with their bandanas and their tattoos and things. These young fellas came running up in the smoke, and they ran in and they helped us carry this old lady out of this house. It's really amazing how human beings are when they need to. But we carried her down the stairs, and this poor old woman was hysterical. And she grabbed my vest and she said, "Elvis is in there! Elvis is in there!" I thought, oh my God, we got a live one. I said, it's okay, ma'am. Elvis is fine. I saw him in Graceland last week. And she looked at me and she said, "Elvis is my cat!" Okay, all right. That's one for me. All right, sorry. So I said, okay, is there anybody here on this block who looks after you, who takes care of you? And through her tears, she told me the lady 4 or 5 houses down took care of her. So I ran down there, and I knocked on the door. And the door opened, and the first thing I saw was a 1,000,000-year-old woman. I have never seen a woman who was 1,000,000 years old. She was. If she was a day, she was 1,000,000 years old. And she owned 2 monstrous macro Great Danes, because they just came leaping over her shoulders and on to me. And they're doing the, oh, you're the first person I've seen in 10,000 years. I just love you. Their tongues are as big as my body. And I'm like, ma'am, could you call off your dogs, please? Excuse me, ma'am, there's a, there, yes, I love you too. It's good dog, good dog. Sit. Ma'am, there is a fire at the end of the, your neighbor, the lady in the wheelchair, can she come here? And the million-year-old lady said, oh yes, sure, bring her down here. So we started wheeling the old lady down, and she was just completely beside herself. You have to get Elvis, you have to get Elvis. One of the basic tenets of emergency services, for God's sake, rule number 1, never promise anything. But this was an old lady, and my father was a Southern gentleman. This led to a conflict in me. And I made the cardinal error. I said, I will get your cat for you, ma'am. So Mark took the lady down to the house at the end, and I went into the smoke-filled house. That smoke was devastating, stung the eyes, stung the lungs. And I went in holding my breath down here with the flashlight, and as the flashlight played through the smoke, I saw, have you ever seen Felix the cat? This perfect Felix the cat, little black and white tuxedo cat was there, and he was looking very upset, so I know I speak cat, so I know, hey, you must be Elvis. Hi, great, come on. I picked him up, and he was like, oh, I love you, oh, I love you, love, yes, you're mine. I took him outside, and when I got to the door, Mark said, let me have the cat. And I said, are you sure? He said, yeah, the lady wants some other things. Okay, did she give me a list? She wants her blanket and her pot. Again? Mark said, that's what she said. Did she get her blanket and her pot? Sure, you take Elvis here. So I went back in. God, I can feel it now. And I found on the sofa this ratty old blanket, and next to, well, I'm not sure what I was exactly expecting, but next to the sofa was a, well, somebody might know this story. It was a portable toilet shaped like a chair that, well, I thought that must be the pot. She'd used it recently, but this is the job. I kind of took it, and I'm like, okay. And I went outside, and I put on the sidewalk, and I looked down, and I saw Mark kneeling in front of one of the vacant homes along the way, going, come here, come on. One of the basement windows. And I went up and I said, oh, for God's sake, tell me you didn't let him go. And he said, he was scratching me. I said, Mark, Jesus, shit. Now, we're talking about a vacant home in Philadelphia. There could be anything down in that basement. There could be raw sewage. There could be a dead body. There could be a live body. So it's the job, right? We're here to help. So I took off my helmet. I went slithering down. I was skinnier. A lot skinnier. I went slithering down. And I shined the light around, and I saw these two little orange dots, and I went toward them. And there was Elvis, his little, I could tell because when you shine the light on him, you only saw the white parts. It was like, it's like a partial cat. It was kind of funny. You just saw the tuxedo part. So I picked him up. Oh, hey, Elvis, how you doing? That was the first time I realized Elvis had a collar on. So I put my finger in his collar and I went to the top of the window and I said, okay, Mark, hold on to his collar this time. So Mark, who obviously does not speak cat, put his finger in the collar and started taking the cat down to the old lady who was at the million-year-old lady's house. And as I slid out the window, I heard a high-pitched screech that I thought at first was coming from Mark. And it was. Because when I looked up, Mark is going, on these claws, and there was blood. I could physically see blood flying as this thing was tearing him to pieces. He's going, oh, Jesus Christ, God damn it, God damn it. He got to the door, and he kicked the door up and said, here's your cat. I said, don't bark the dogs. It is a true fact about cats that under duress, cats can suspend gravity. Because without touching the floor, Elvis apparently was able to do this kind of arc up onto the mantelpiece, and the dogs never knew he was there. I went to Mark, and he was standing like this. He looked like he had been torn to pieces. He looked like he'd been through a buzzsaw. He was covered with scratches. He was bleeding everywhere. And I went up to him and I said, Mark, he said, don't touch me! I said, let's just get you to the ambulance. Okay, we'll get those taken care of. Come along. And at that point, the million-year-old lady came out. Elvis is an orange cat. I looked at Mark, he said, well, take the fucker! To make this very long story short, that was Elvis. The million-year-old lady had gotten a little confused in the excitement. And it's to be understood. A house fire, all these things going on. The takeaway from the story is, number one, when emergencies happen, it really does bring out the best in people. Neighbors will stand too, and they will help each other out. And the other takeaway is, if you don't speak cat, keep your fucking hands off the animal. Okay? I could go on ad nauseum. However, my time is up. I believe that the next thing we need to do is go upstairs and join monkey knife fights. Now, I'm going to be the audience for that, but I'm going to follow the guy with the hat. So
let's go, Sam. You're at the table. Grab your wine. We're moving.
You heard the man. Let's go.
Drink.
Are you going to go watch that? Yeah. Okay. I'll meet you up there.
I thought it was time to resurrect Elvis. Absolutely. Oh, so far so good. I got lots of food.